Alright, so I got to play a little bit with, like, the last, like, part there. But I do want to basically, sort of describe a little bit, like, the characters in this game and, stuff like that and other stuff, basically. So, we're gonna go to the Ashes to Ashes quest. And sure, we'll start with the high fire here. And go to construction here. So, I'll note basically when you're looking at like the different factions and their units, they all have like they're all like sort of like different setups that like basically like sort of indicate basically how they're supposed to play. And you'll basically find like each of them basically have like their own like sort of like sort of strategy and like how they're supposed to basically be played. So you sort of like orientate like your playstyle around it. And so I just quickly sort of jump through this so you can basically see like a quick like brush basically like what all the different factions basically look like here. So you saw like the Empire right there. Here's like the Undead. So basically here's like their like setup. Basically they have these 5 guys here for their military. They have a much more like strong mage line than like the humans, but it's, also like the fact that these guys are also like very death related. So these guys do like death damage, death damage, death damage. There's a Spectre for like their like archer. There's a support, so basically they have like the 2 dragons, their werewolves, and then the other stuff. We're going to Ashes to Ashes again. Let's just go over to the Mountain Clans. Here's like the Mountain Clans guys, basically. So they basically have their warriors right here. There's basically their like mages right here. They got their novices basically that like boost up damage. They also have the bear damage, which is basically their special units. So their special units basically like given like a 2-tier unit that does like very quick attack compared to like the rest of the forces, which have like shall we say very poor initiative for like every single like unit to basically have access to. Like these like bears like the units that basically come after them are like very very fast compared to the rest of like the units they basically have, and they're actually faster than like most of the melee units for like other factions as well. Plus like the AI here basically is for like a very like hefty amount of damage that nice as you see as well. Note basically for like the the dwarves, they have access to not like 1 tier of like upgrades for the guys, but also 2. So on top of like having the fact that they have like this crossman which has like very hefty HP and like its damage output, they also have access to flamecast over here. And of course their support units right here. They have like the Tempest Giant and the Ice Giant over here. And then we'll just like quickly just jump into the Legions of the Damned and see like going forward here. Oops, that's the wrong faction right there. Almost perfected like going through this without any issue, but whatever. That's the Undead Hordes, so let's go this way. There's the Legion of the Damned. And here's their units basically stacked up. So unlike the other factions, these guys have sort of like a weaker sort of like front line. They do have their fiends, which basically have like fairly good like damage, but they don't have like the third upgrades like the other factions do. There's their like sort of mage line, very powerful like witches that like do like the fear ability that it's very similar to the ghosts of like the undead forces, the succubus. Any unit, 75% chance to fear them. There's their like archer, basically they have access to the marble gargoyle. There's their like support units. They have like a 3rd tier as opposed to like the other factions that only have like down to like a 2nd tier. Now I want to basically like show you this to you guys because it basically sort of like shows like each like the different factions sort of like have like a sort of like different setup of like how their units are basically oriented. So I'll note with like the demons here, for example, these guys have like a weaker like front line, but basically at the same time they also have access to like the marble gargoyle, which basically like, is a 2-tier unit that has like the ability to hit like anyone, and it's very like good armor to make up for it. you have access to, like, you know, the demons and, like, you know, the Molochs, the beasts, and, like, you know, the demon lord. And if I basically like, look at these guys right here, by the way, you note that the beast here has, like, an attack for, like, any unit here, so very slow initiative, of course, but, you know, it hits for 70 damage to, like, all units basically on the battlefield. And it's physical damage, of course, but, you know, that's fine. It can, like, you know, deal a lot of damage basically to, like, all the units basically, like, you know, in their way. Lots of HP basically go through as well. There's the Demon Lord, even more HP than, like, you know, the Beast here. These have 420. These guys have, like, 470. You basically have, like, you know, 140 damage on these guys to, like, you know, one single unit, as opposed to, like, you know, 70 damage to, like, all the units. A lot more initiative in these guys as well. So when you basically want, like, you know, to kill, like, a single target unit, these guys are really good for it. When you just want to, like, you know, hit, like, you know, all the units for a lot of damage, like, the beast is obviously a lot better. And this is, like, sort of like, you know, throw out automation basically, like, over here. Basically, you have access to the sorcerer, the demologist, and then you have access to, like, you know, the pandemonious guy over here. Basically does, like, you know, 60 damage to, like, all the units on the field, which is very, very nice. Or you have access to the incubus over here, which doesn't do any damage to this guy, but he has a petrified attack, which basically, like, you know, causes, like, earth, like, you know, status, like, you know, paralysis, basically, to all units on your field, basically, which is very, very nice. And of course, they have, like, the witch and, like, you know, the succubus, which basically is all about, like, you know, fearing basically people off. I guess compared to, like, you know, the witch, like, the succubus, like, it's like, you know, vanishes, it just has, like, you know, more HP. Honestly, I'm not sure why you basically pick up a succubus, I guess, but, you know, I guess basically if, like, you're maybe, like, playing, like, you know, a duke perhaps in your army, you might go like a duke and, like, you know, marble gargoyle and a succubus, and, like, you know, you basically have, like, you know, when you get around to, like, you know, like a support demon basically in your flank here as well. And that's basically something I know about is, like, this game basically, because, like, you know, it has, like, all these, like, different arrangements for these factions, so, like, you know, you can basically find what you basically want to play with and let's play with it, so to speak. And let's just go, like, you know, quickly, like, you know, sort of observe, like, basically what the early factions sort of look like here a little bit, so let's just go back to, like, you know, Wotan here, I guess, so let's go 2 here. There's the mountain clans once more. So I'll note that the mountain clans are, like, you know, of course very different from, like, all the factions, like I already stated. These guys basically have, like, you know, access to, like, you know, basically double upgrades for all the warriors, so they basically get down here to, like, get the, like, the mountaineers, or you know, go down here to the veteran line. Down here at the King's Hall, or like the or like, you know, the ancestral shrine, you basically have the dwarf king, who basically has, like, you know, an armor to his, like, guy, so very, very defensive type of unit that has, like, you know, takes very little damage, though it has, like, you know, a lot less damage if I think has resolve it. Or you have the venerable warriors, who basically have, like, more HP but no armor, and a lot more damage based on top of, like, you know, what the you know, dwarf kings basically have. So, defensive or offensive, basically, what do you want to go with, so to speak. And yeah, just to sort of, like, throw it out there, during, like, you know, the Dwarven Clans, like, playthrough what I basically did, or Mountain Clans playthrough what I basically did, I think we played with, like, you know, the Venerable Warrior, because I'm probably going to go with, like, you know, the defensive knight guy for, like, you know, the, like, Empire. Now, it's not worth knowing something about the, like, you know, the Mountain Clans, by the way. They have these Mountaineers. I'm not basically, like, if you look at, like, all the units here, like, you know, they have, like, the novice here, basically, like, you know, boost up, like, damage and stuff like that. They have their archers. They have, like, you know, the rock giant here. So I know about the, like, the Mountain Clans, they don't actually have, like, a mage type of unit that, like, you know, spreads, like, damage to, like, all the units in the near field. But if you actually look at these, like, you know, upgrades here, if you look at the Mountaineer, basically this guy here, he has, like, you know, damage to, like, all the units here. So they're, like, you know, they're, like, sort of mages basically come out, like, you know, later on, so to speak, because basically you have, like, this, like, Mountaineer has, like, a sort of, like, frontline HP, and on top of that he also has damage, like, all the forces on, like, you know, the other side. So this is, like, your way basically damage, like, the, like, you know, all the other forces on the other side of, like, the map. And then if, like, you go over here to, like, you know, the crossbowman, this guy basically upgrade into, like, the flamecaster. This guy basically has, like, an upgrade that lets him, like, do, like, fire damage to, like, all your units basically. So you have, like, fire and ice basically, like, you know, combined like this. And even for still, if you basically want to, there's also a tempest giant over here. This guy's, like, you know, air damage basically to all your forces as well. So it's kind of interesting because, like, you know, essentially with, like, the, like, mountain clans, they have, like, you know, very, like, you know, sort of single focused units basically early on, but as, like, you go, like, forth with, like, their, like, you know, upgrades and stuff like that, they get, like, very powerful, like, you know, the tempest giant, you know, the flamecaster, and of course eventually the mountaineer over here. And You know, it's basically like sort of like interesting because when you're basically playing like the mountain clans, basically, if you play like the warrior type, basically, you can basically like have access to like say a novice over here, in like a crossbowman, and like like you know one of like the like you know giants basically here to do stuff with. Maybe have go with an ice giant for example. And all these guys basically they have like very like high like damage attacks that like you know make them like you know very like you know useful to like you know pound like the enemy forces into bits, so to speak. But at the same time, if you basically want to have like you know sort of like you know sort of like a ranged like type of caster, you basically have to sort of like you know upgrade into it, so to speak, which works quite well when you get around to it, like you know later on in the campaign. Alright, we're just gonna do this one more time. We're going to like you know the ashes to ashes once more, and we're just gonna jump in with like the undead hordes over here. You'll basically see what the Empire's basically gonna have offer because I'm basically gonna show it off in, like in the gameplay. So here's the undead forces. So note that basically for the undead forces they have access to like you know 2 lines basic units basically to play with. Much like the like Empire, they have access to like their like you know warrior like you know sort of special units based over here, or they have access to like you know standard like you know fighting lines over here. Now you already basically saw like the last episode basically where we're basically playing, but the Dark Lords are actually immune to like you know basically like the you know oncoming like spells on top of them because they don't take any like you know damage like you know from like the like you know other factions like you know lightning strikes or like you know stone falls or something like that. The only exception to this is like the demons leading to the dam because the demons basically have access to like mind based attacks that like you know sort of like you know fortress like you know immunity, but you know they're basically very like you know defensive basically on the map to like you know avoid like taking damage, and they have nice XP to make up for as well for like you know that sort of like deficiency that they have like you know compared to your guys. Down here basically have the mage line, by the way. I always just noticed, but these guys all have like you know death based attacks. Note the Lich basically over here has like you know a 70 damage to basically attack to like you know all units basically in our field. Or you have like the vampire that has like you know 50 damage to like you know all the other units and he heals up basically like you know drains life basically people. There's the necromancer that's like the upgrade of like our wizard, so he basically does death damage as opposed to like our wizard's like you know air damage. Now, note over here the Wraith, by the way. This is a very interesting unit because if you look at him, he actually has a weapon immunity, by the way. So if you basically want to run out of like you know guys like mages that actually have like you know like no ability to like you know be harmed in like you know melee, these guys are very interesting based to fire off. And although basically some players, by the way, what they'll actually do when they're actually playing the game, they'll actually make like a line of like you know a race basically in the front in the front row because these guys basically have this weapon immunity, so they actually can be like sort of like frontline fighters. And you don't have to fear basically guys that actually like do like you know not weapon based like damage basically like to them. So dwarves basically for example, but they do a lot of damage basically to like you know damage like to 40 damage like everyone, and they can like basically like, you know tank for you if you want them to. Spectres, you basically already seen this in play, but you know these guys basically paralyzed. So as opposed to like you know throwing out damage to like you know stop like the enemy, basically like to sort of paralyze them down so they can't like move, which is very very useful sometimes. Doom Drakes, these guys are like you know useless. Basically, they have like you know very like low chance to hit, and they do like death damage to like the entire party, but they have a good HP to make up for it. So, you know, good HP I guess, but you know very very poor like you know chance to hit, but it's like you know what basically drags these guys down. And then the werewolves, weapon immunity again. So these guys are you know good frontline units. Basically, want to make you know guys that tank like your like frontline, so to speak, without like you know anywhere of like taking damage in return. Unless it's like, you know, against elemental. Alright, so. You know what, let's just like go in one more time to show off the Empire, I guess, so. I'm not basically like the Empire here, by the way. So, you've basically already seen like a lot of like the units I've been playing with, like, you know, in like the field and all that stuff. We do have access to like their own like sort of like, you know, heavy like tier weapons, like guys, these guys over here, the knights. But right now I'm playing with like the Witch Hunter and like you know the Inquisitor over here, and these guys basically have access to like their mind immunity, which basically makes them like you know immune to like you know the ghost like you know paralyzed attack or like you know the sucker with the sphere attack. So they're basically very useful these guys to like you know, sort of like you know avoid like you know status afflicting attacks that can really like ruin your day, so to speak. And against like the Banshees for example, these guys are like you know very useful to like you know knock them out with like you know little issue. In hindsight, these guys are actually a little bit weaker than like you know the Templars and stuff like that, but you know they're not basically bad to show off, I guess, for this like vision. So why not? Now I will not, if I want to, like compared to like this Inquisitor here, I could have gone with like the Imperial Knight, And this guy does do like, 75 damage, like same with like, my Inquisitor here. But he basically has like, 200 HP as opposed to like the immunity here. Really, this guy's probably just better overall because like, he takes like so much more damage to go down, but this guy's not bad basically running around, so why not? We'll show him off. And by the way, basically have access to the Paladin, like the Angel over here, so basically this is like our Venerable Warrior separate like unit. He does like, 125 damage, 50 initiative here. Very, very like, tanky I guess, with like, 225 HP. Then there's the Paladin. He has a lot less HP, but he has armor to sort of make up for his like, deficiency. And he has access to like, 100 damage, which is, not bad. There's our mages, there's our wizards. My wizard already died, but this guy basically has like, 45 air damage to like all the enemy parties, so not that bad. Although with the humans, by the way, there's like sort of like, one weakness with them is that they don't really have a whole lot of like, damage to like, all the air forces, so the wizards are cool and all, but their backline is like a little bit like, sort of weaker as a result of the fact that it can't be upgraded to like a 3rd tier. But at the same time, they actually have like, a very like, very diverse set of like guys, so it's not, too much out of their favor, so to speak. There's the Titan that's like, just a nice guy to like throw around to like, just fill up your private and need like an extra like, 2 space unit basically to do stuff. Lost XP, good damage, poor initiative, but it's fine. He's basically a Titan. Our marksman, in hindsight, these guys are actually probably one of the best archers in the game, by the way, because they have this 70 initiative and they have 40 damage, so they inflict like a lot of damage basically to like units on the other side. I actually kind of like prefer these guys to the wizards because like they're a lot easier to like train up, but getting like the wizards is obviously better because they have like a little more HP, a lot more damage like overall, hits everyone. Lower initiative of course, but these guys are still good to basically throw around regardless. Now, it's worth noting that the humans are very interesting in that they actually have access to like their priests and like their clerics and stuff like that. I'm going down the priest line over here by the way, but basically this is like the healing to everyone in battle. So these guys basically concentrate their power on like the single unit to heal up like a single unit in battle to like like a good extent. And the Imperial Priest more so, basically like his 80 like heal right here, and like 100 XP. Note by the way, in the future I'm probably going down the cleric line over here because these clerics basically heal like the entire party, which is very useful for like the humans who have like 6 basically like slots basically guys to like heal up. And then we get down to like the patriarch over here. This guy basically has like 40 health to everyone. So this guy's like the priest, except he basically heals like up everyone basically for like the same amount as like he basically does. So 80 life to like the one target, or like 40 to like everyone. So very, very powerful. All right, so this is sort of like a brief showing basically what all the units basically look like in this game, and how stuff is sort of like oriented and stuff like that. Only took me about like 20 minutes to explain that, but it's fine. Let's just like go in for like a little bit more like playtime here. This mission's already pretty quick by the way, so I mean like I don't mind like explaining a few things and of course crashing every so often, so why not? Let's just go back in here. I got all through that like loading and saving and stuff like that. I mean, as the first crash basically happened, whatever.
My liege.
All right, over here I'll note these guys are taking a beating for like the Undead forces, like harassing with spells and stuff like that, but whatever. There's 2 Dark Lords in that party, so I don't want to really mess with his peace, but whatever, they're there.
What now?
Send you up here. Ooh, there's a trainer up here. Very, very nice. So trainers are useful for like leveling up your party to like get them basically like to better like experience levels.
What now?
The thief over here can like go around and it's like ruin. So a couple elf lords over here. So this is where like the air war will be very useful because these guys basically use like lightning based attacks, I think.
Yes.
My
liege.
So you got basically a Dark Lord warrior and like your guy over here. I think what I want to basically do at this point, by the way,
Services are required.
I'm basically gonna have these like sort of like these guys hold back to like heal up a little bit after I take out this like guy right here. They should be able to survive if I basically go after them right now. So
Get them.
let's take out these guys right here, and we'll focus on this guy first. And of course I miss. Ouch. He's dead. Oh, he missed. Well, I don't get my heal, I guess, so that's fine. Big hit to him. Nice miss again. I got really lucky there. Now, no problem because I basically have access to, like, my priest here can basically heal up everyone. The full, so why not? We'll do so. So yeah, it was like past our turns until like this guy like, you know, heals up everyone. This is very useful for like the Empire by the way, but you know, it basically shows off like something you can basically do with them to like, you know, heal up your guys. So let's heal up him. 70% chance to paralyze by the way, because she's a level 3 like, you know, Banshee as opposed to like, you know, level 1. But you know. Well, you're not gonna hit me every time, are you? Apparently she is gonna hit me every single time. Isn't this fun, just watching me like just pass my turn, but you know, this is actually like something you have to do, so. Oh! So apparently if it takes too long, you just like, you know, just run away. That's good to know.
Get them!
Let's just like, you know, try this again, I guess. So that's good, basically good to know. I didn't know it actually automatically run away like that, but okay. That's actually like a, like, you know, a nice little thing to sort of like, you know, stop abuse like this, I guess. Cause like, you know, I can just like, you know, pass my turn to like, you know, I heal up my like, you know, my guys to full, so to speak. I'm not bothering like Disciples 2, there's like no like, you know, time limit in battles, but you know, if you out-battle people, which you actually have like the feature in that game, you can actually like, you know, have your guys basically run away in like battles and not battles because like, you know, after a certain time let's run away because it's just taking too long. So if you mainly fight the battles, you'll always like, you know, can take as long as you want to, so. Okay, I'm not gonna do this too much longer by the way, but we're just gonna like, you know. Just kill her. So there we go, a little bit more experience basically for killing her. So that's done. Alright, so I'm sort of tempted to, I sort of want to basically see where her like, you know, her hero basically is, because so we're gonna use the living armor over here, I guess. Interesting, it didn't conquer his settlement over here apparently, so Lich, Warrior, Ghoul, and like, you know, Warrior over here, and just like, you know, settlement over here. There's like this Necromancer and his Dark Lord over in here, I guess. Well, I know what's in there now. There's those guys right there apparently. Alright, so I know the capital's basically over here, right? So not over here apparently, but well, there's basically the Lich Queen basically running around over here somewhere, so watch out for that, I guess.
I'm listening.
Alright, who knows? You get over here, I guess, to, you know, get over here, or there's a rod right there apparently for his like room. So man, I'll probably want to get to that too.
What now? Yes.
Now that probably is like a shop over here I could like go to, so. Oh, there's nothing to steal there, I guess, so whatever. Well, we can just go this way.
Yes.
There's a barbarian lair over here apparently, so let's just go check that out, I guess.
Yes. What now? What now?
And you can just get down here as well.
My lord?
Something to get some experience on this guy over here, but you know, whatever, that's fine. These guys just like sort of sitting here to heal up a little bit.
My liege.
Oh, there's a summoning spell. I'll probably cover spells by the way for like the different faxes like next time, but you know, whatever. Interesting. He did some of the evil end right there, by the way. No, by the way, if you actually summon them like that, they actually like stay in the battlefield to like, you know, sort of stop you from like moving around. So that is actually sort of like a tactic you can actually use as a player. Never seen like the like Undead use it though before, so that's new. Yeah, I want to whip her out, so let's go kill her.
Get them!
Get rid of this like nuisance before it becomes like more of a nuisance. There we get threats, we'll kill off you. Bad miss. You're gone. You're gone. You're hit. You're passing. Much like before, I was trying to like heal my guy a little bit here. Excellent. So heal up him. Let's fish her off. You know, I could actually kill this if I want to get like the experience for him, so why not? We'll do so. Ow. That's fine. A little bit of experience for him, so you know, he's getting up there. I want to basically get my like, you know, my ranger up to level 5 if I get the chance to for this episode, so we're not stuck but you know, in this mission, so we'll try and do so. Let's give that flag, so basically we can play our own.
What now? Yes.
Interesting, so Dune Drake, Wolverine, and Necromancer are up here. Orc Champion over there. Let's get you back over here, I guess.
What now?
It'll take me a while, but I'm just gonna try to like, you know, get all I can for like these guys, so we'll try and do so.
Yes. Yes.
Let's get this guy over here, I guess.
What now?
As that werewolf base over there I've got to watch out for, but whatever. Get you over here.
My lord?
They're slowly healing up, which is just fine by me.
For the High Father.
Drop the death dragon my kick there to kill him off. Ooh, 2 blue screens basically over there. Interesting. He's got Dark Lord, his like, you know, guy right there, and this dude Drake. And he's got another Dark Lord, this guy here, and his dude Drake over here. So interesting. Oh, here's like the exit for like their area over here, so they can't get out of here unless they like go through it right here. Supposed to attack him right here, I guess, to hurt him off a little bit. A little bit of damage to this guy.
My liege.
I'm listening.
Alright, let's plant a flag up here, I guess, so this will be our rune stone.
Yes.
I'll send you over here to like go to that flag or that barbarian lair, I guess, so we'll do have him.
I'll do my best.
There's really no point to poison these guys, but you know, let's just like poison them, I guess, a little bit over here.
What now?
I might send like, you know, the wizard up here to fight these guys if we get the chance to, so who knows, we'll see. Now, by the way, these guys can't actually hurt the like werewolf over here, so we want to basically avoid him, but you know, I can go after everything else around here, basically. Let's wipe these guys basically out of the map over here, I guess, so
Get them!
let's kill off the like specters and his zombie friends. Oh, he's like the second tier like units for like the undead, so you know, zombies. Kill off him so he can't do that again. Nice bit of experience right there.
For the High Father.
What now?
You know, think about, by the way, I can actually use this guy to go up here to, like, you know, try and level up the, like, accolade a little bit, so... Basically, this guy can, like, train up the guys to get more experience, so I can train up this, like, you know, this guy here to be, like, you know, better. So now, basically, he'll be, like, you know, leveling up into, like, a wizard and basically fight something. Very nice.
For the High Father.
Yes. What now?
Yes.
For the High Father.
What now?
You apparently haven't done your stuff yet, so go over here. See if you can basically find anything over here as thief. You can find a death dragon apparently. Oh, another hero apparently to fight me. No lack of heroes from the Undead forces, so to speak, but whatever.
Yes. Yes. I'll do my best.
We're gonna try and poison this guy a little bit. Now, the reason I poison this guy like this is so we can send these guys in to try and finish him off, so...
For the Empire!
We'll try to get this side leveled up, maybe, like, you know, get Hearst again base up to level 2. Ouch.
Invocare.
Ooh, we won again. Note that these guys all have the same initiative, by the way, so... It's like anyone's guess who basically goes first.
Invocare.
Does my new mage, by the way, so... He's back in action.
What now?
My lord?
And there's a troll basically up here as well, so interesting. We can't get up there now, but whatever, it's fine.
Get them!
Let's go way up these guys over here, I guess. We'll kill him off in 2 strikes, that guy, so let's do so. Yeah, note this guy does 20 damage, this guy does 35, so... So much damage, you know, but whatever. It's gonna be like what's gonna happen here. Do yourself. Very nice.
I'm listening.
You already planted your flag here, so... That death mail will be what's next over here, I guess, so let's get rid of it.
What now?
So, Barbarians in this ruin over here in an archer.
What now?
My lord?
For the High Father.
What now? What now?
Wow, I think I lost all my fees over here, apparently, so... No more fees in this direction. That's a bummer, but that's fine. You know, I should probably save the living artist point. We don't actually have like that many like points of like, you know, life mana, so let's just like, you know, start saving up a little bit now. There's their like, you know, look screen over here apparently. Dark Lord, Nosferatu, and like this guy here, so nothing really to
My services are
care about right there, but while it's there.
My liege.
Ooh, look at this! We got ourselves a nice little boost to my like damage resistance for my ranger now. So there's some natural armor for my like, you know, main leader here to like, you know, run around with, is very nice.
My services are required.
Liege.
Trying to think here. What I'm probably gonna do right now with like, you know, Yester
My
and like,
lord?
you know, her Sustania. We're probably gonna train out my like, you know, guy here again a little bit to like, you know, get him ready to go. So now basically a little bit closer to, like, you know, level 3 basically. Nothing this gets a lot more expensive, like, going on later on, but, you know, whatever, it's fine. We're gonna take this guy out and basically, like, replace, like, this weaker guy right here. So basically there's his pirate for now. So we're back basically like our old setup basically from before. We get over here now. There. That's enough XP to take on his troll right basically, so let's go up here with him.
What now? I'll do my best.
And that happened, but that's fine. Ooh, there's a man farm up here. Let's see what's in the abandoned farm. So another look is basically over here, and a skeleton champion, and this guy right here, I guess. Get in the way. They're gonna heal up by seeing there, but that's fine.
I'm listening.
Let's get rid of this right here. Now she's probably gonna die by the way, but you know, she got rid of this rod, so that's fine.
What now? I'll do my best.
Now don't bother, this guy's not affected by spells, so these guys aren't. So what I might want to do right here is drop these spells on him to like hurt him up a little bit. No, cut off his leer basically. This is a way of like, you know, sort of handling this guy to make him like, you know, stop going toward me, I guess. Poison him a little bit more, so a little bit more damage to him.
My services are
For the High
required.
Father.
Now.
Whoop. People are playing Elden Ring, you know, at the time of this recording. Ooh, there's a nightmare. And he bled, because why not? I want this guy to flee if he gets a chance to, so retreat. I want this guy to waste his move as a thing, right? So. If I didn't make him waste his move, he might like attack my guy, so I wanted to basically stop that from happening. Alright, there's Jester.
Get them!
Let's fight the troll, I guess. That hurts, but whatever, he's gonna live. Useful. Almost level 3 again. There's a Staff of Twilight. I would attack this farm, but these guys are a little bit too strong to basically fight right now, I think, so. Let's get back over here.
My lord?
And before I forget, let's just like pick up the stuff in this guy here, so. Staff, the scrolls. All the good stuff basically right here. Huh, I got to a fire somewhere. Back over here you go. But I can use these to drop spells on people now if I want to, so. I can do that basically right now, do stuff. She's gonna be an issue if I like just leave her alone there, so.
For the High Father.
Do I pull him back basically for now as a thing, right? So. Maybe we'll take out this right now.
My services are required.
For the High Father.
Apparently my fever is holding something there, but whatever, it's fine. Oh, there goes that, like, you know, stuff in there. Let's drop this raw right here, I guess.
My lord?
My liege.
Now, I got some money basically right now, so let's make use of it to, like, you know, heal my guys, I guess, so... You'll get your heal, and you'll get killed.
Get them!
Let's kill off him first. That hurt a little bit, but, you know, that's to be expected, I guess. Those misses are terrible, but... I'll survive, I think. Well, that's done, I guess. I could go down to hit this one as well, but you know, the mage layer kind of scares me at the moment, so let's go back here. Oh, you know what? Let's use our potion at this point, so... Loot it out a little bit. Get the priest a little bit in here. That'll work just fine.
I'm listening.
My lord?
I have to start waving my mouse around there, but whatever, that's fine. We can deal with it. I don't think I have the firepower to take out that guy over there, so we're probably just gonna leave him alone. Let's get you over here for now.
I'm listening.
My lord?
My liege.
I need to take out this guy's stuff up here so we can get access to this stuff up here, I guess, so...
My lord?
We'll maybe do this, I think. That might be helpful. I don't know why I keep spawning a nightmare to go like, you know, part over there, but whatever. I know what he's trying to do by way of all these, like, you know, guys over here, but you know, whatever.
My services are required.
Get over here to hit him. Do some quick kills for these guys right here. Really just want to make sure you don't, like, you know, take away the flags and stuff like that, so...
Get them!
Let's knock you out next. More experience for him.
I'm listening.
There's that thief over here, but whatever, that's fine. Just like go hide behind him, I guess.
My services are required.
I'm listening.
They'll be back for all their heroes and stuff, but whatever. I'll focus on wiping them out a little bit at this point.
My lord? For the Empire!
Level 2 mage, very nice to see. There's that scroll by the way from before. Hellhound, Belial, and Holy Strength. These are actually pretty nice tools to find because these guys can be used to, like, you know, do like more stuff I want to, like by, like, you know, mage up here. Not bad. Yeah, go wipe them out. I'll get rid of these rock planters up here, so... You die. Getting there.
I'm listening.
My deaf man now. That'll hurt a little bit to be pop, but you know what, we can take him on. This is gonna hurt regardless. Well, she planted a rod is all I really need her to do. That's gonna hurt regardless, because this guy basically hits for like, you know, 50 damage, so that's gonna suck, whatever. Crazy creatures from the world of the deceased. They will scatter a plague upon all enemies they fight against. High initiative 2 for these guys as well. And heal up the mage, I guess. Oh, he actually had enough to level up there. Very nice. Hey, poison my party. That hurts a little bit, but we can deal with it. Alright, Hearst is gonna get stuff here, so... Let's get him, like, you know, toughness, so he's a bit more, like, you know, beefy. Let's use the healing spells at this point. I have access to, like, healing, so let's just make use of it. Everyone's basically fully healed. Let's wipe this guy out real quick. This will be an easy kill. I might not be able to kill off her immediately, so make sure she dies. That hurts a little bit, but it's fine, we can deal with it. So... Yep, missed it, because why not? Wow, it misses! It'd be really nice to take this city over here, because that, like, you know, it's like the vanguard before, like, you know, a lot of, like, the stuff basically happens, like, you know, down over here. Always like a cheap way of killing off rock planters for like, the Undead forces. These guys, they don't have, like, any, like, you know, little defense skins like these, like, living armors, because they have my immunity, so... We're just gonna wipe them out with this one right here. Immune. That's all that took. Oh good, there's a shop down here, very nice. Probably try to get rid of his rod at some point, but you know, whatever.
My services are required.
Well, let's move you back base over here for now. No nightmare, because why not? I don't think it's enough to kill run, but you know, it'll probably hurt a lot being hit by that.